My dad wasn't very kind. He was verbally abusive, he was mentally abusive, physically abusive. He just wasn't a very good guy. There was a lot of tension between us. We did not have the greatest relationship. Dads are supposed to be superheroes, and when your dad isn't a superhero, you feel like you don't fit in. I was trying to avoid feeling all of the tension at home, and I wanted to escape that. And so coming to camp was the perfect place to do that. Camp was my safe haven. I could connect with other people my age, and nobody knew who I was, what I was dealing with at home. Nobody knew anything about me, and I could be whoever I wanted to be. It was just this wonderful world where I was happy and nothing was wrong, and there was no sadness, there was no pain, there was no darkness, and it was just my escape. I started coming 1 week out of the summer, and I loved it so much that 1 turned to 3 very quickly, and from 2nd grade until I was in 9th grade, I came here. When I was in 9th grade, I was able to get a job. I got to spend the entire summer here, so it wasn't just a week, it was a whole summer to escape from my life. I was here at camp when I received a text from my dad, and it said, "I know I don't always show it, but I'm proud of you and I love you." And that's something that I hadn't heard for 15 years as far as I could remember. I thought everything was gonna change. We could talk and we could work things out. I thought to myself, I get to have that daddy-daughter relationship that I wanted as a little girl, that I saw all of my friends having, and I could finally have that. It was like there was this sense of hope. I was at the lake and we were prepping for worship, and I was really happy, I was excited, it was gonna be a fun night, and I was told that I had visitors. My great-grandfather was there with the pastor from the church that I was going to at the time. The pastor said, "I'm really sorry, but I'm not here with good news. It's your dad. He was killed in a motorcycle accident." The world around me, it silenced and it went black. And I felt angry. I was angry at God. I was angry that I wasn't gonna have the chance to fix that relationship. I wasn't gonna be able to feel that love from him. I was never gonna have that opportunity, and that destroyed me. I left camp that night and I didn't come back. I had not come back to camp until today. I stopped going to church. I stopped going to youth group. I stopped hanging out with all of the positive influences in my life, and I turned down a really dark road. I started to make really poor choices. I started to fill that void, that loss of hope. I started to fill all of that with things like cutting and drinking, and I wasn't hanging out with the best people. The behaviors were my way of controlling the situation, my way of dealing with the situation. And because it was the only thing that I could control, it gave me this false sense of identity and this false sense of hope that I didn't think could ever exist again. When I was going through this dark time that I didn't even think could get any darker, I lost 4 others that were so close to me within that same year. And I just kept spiraling at that point because I kept saying, how could it get any worse? And so I just got deeper and deeper into filling myself with things that weren't good for me, but I didn't care. I didn't care that they weren't good for me because in my eyes, I was worthless, I was useless, and I had nothing to live for. I had plans to take my own life. I thought nobody would miss me and nobody would care. I was already a burden, and so I felt like if I died, I wouldn't be a burden to anybody anymore because they wouldn't have to deal with my problems, they wouldn't have to deal with my struggles, they wouldn't have to deal with me. I was online and I was trying to fill that void by talking to random people, and I started talking to this guy, and he noticed something was off. He asked where I was, and I wouldn't tell him. And eventually I did tell him, and he drove about an hour, and he hugged me and said, I know I've never met you before. I don't know if you have a relationship with God, but your story matters, and you matter, and your story is going to change lives someday. That night, I felt a spark, an actual spark that I had never felt before. And it was like this spark of joy that I didn't know could exist again. It was like I had something to look forward to. I wasn't just baggage, that I was worth something, and I was worth saving. And that was something I had never felt before. And so we kept hanging out, and now we're married. Brad grew up going to church, and he grew up having a relationship with God. And when we got married, he emphasized that it was really important for me to want to do that. My husband Brad and I started attending LCBC, and we loved it. We came every week. We started serving. We loved the worship. We loved the people. They had this sense of peace that I still didn't quite have. And so I came home and I gave my life to Jesus, and it was the best decision I could have ever made. I started digging into my Bible more, I started praying more, and I gave up all of the baggage. I don't have to pretend that there's this false sense of hope anymore, because I know that God has a plan for me, and I know that my past doesn't define me anymore. I know that my worth lies in God, and that there's only one perfect parent. My dad may not have been it, but God is. I'm Kierstin, and I'm a life changed by Christ.